Jasmine Pineda and Matt Brani's love story did not begin like a traditional fairy tale. It started under the intense spotlight of reality television, where emotions are amplified, conflicts are magnified, and private moments quickly become public discussion. Their journey from appearing on 90 Day Fiancé to sparking serious wedding rumors is one marked by passion, misunderstanding, resilience, and an unrelenting desire to make love work despite overwhelming odds. Jasmine first captured the attention of viewers with her fiery personality, unapologetic honesty, and emotional depth. Known for wearing her heart on her sleeve, she was never afraid to confront uncomfortable truths, whether about love, trust, or personal insecurity. Matt, on the other hand, entered the picture with a calmer exterior, appearing more reserved and grounded, which initially created a dynamic that felt both complementary and combustible. From the very beginning, their relationship was shaped by distance. Long-distance relationships are challenging on their own, but when layered with cultural differences, language barriers, and the expectations of reality television, those challenges multiply exponentially. Jasmine and Matt were not just trying to understand each other, they were doing so while cameras rolled and millions of viewers formed opinions in real time. Early episodes showcased moments of genuine connection. There were late-night conversations filled with laughter, shared dreams of a future together, and visible excitement about finally closing the physical distance between them. These moments allowed fans to believe that, beneath the chaos, there was something real and deeply emotional tying them together. However, cracks soon began to appear. Trust issues surfaced early, fueled by past relationship trauma and the pressure of public scrutiny. Jasmine's emotional reactions were often misunderstood as instability, while Matt's attempts at rational problem-solving were sometimes perceived as emotional detachment. These differences created cycles of conflict that played out not only in private but on national television. One of the most defining aspects of their early journey was how openly Jasmine expressed vulnerability. She spoke candidly about insecurity, fear of abandonment, and the pain of not feeling chosen. For many viewers, this honesty was relatable and raw. For others, it was polarizing. Yet it was impossible to ignore that her emotional transparency stemmed from a deep desire for reassurance and long-term commitment. Matt, meanwhile, struggled to balance supporting Jasmine emotionally while also protecting his own boundaries. He often appeared caught between wanting to calm the storm and not knowing how to navigate emotions expressed at such an intense level. This mismatch in emotional communication became one of the relationship's earliest hurdles. Family and friends also played a role in shaping their narrative. Loved ones expressed concern about the pace of the relationship, the intensity of arguments, and the sustainability of their bond. These external voices, though well-intentioned, added another layer of pressure that neither Jasmine nor Matt could fully escape. Despite these challenges, what kept them together was persistence. Time and again, they chose conversation over silence and reconciliation over walking away. Even when breakups were hinted at or briefly occurred, there was always a pull drawing them back toward each other. This pattern revealed something crucial: neither was ready to let go. As the season progressed, viewers began noticing subtle changes. Communication improved, apologies became more sincere, and there was a growing sense of emotional maturity on both sides. Jasmine started expressing her needs more clearly rather than through emotional outbursts, while Matt became more attentive to emotional reassurance rather than logical solutions alone. These developments hinted at growth that often only comes through hardship. Reality television may have accelerated their conflicts, but it also forced them to confront issues that might have otherwise taken years to surface. In many ways, the pressure cooker environment either breaks couples apart or forges stronger bonds. For Jasmine and Matt, it appeared to be doing the latter. By the end of their early 90-day fiancé journey, the question was no longer whether they loved each other. That much was clear. The real question was whether love alone would be enough to overcome distance, emotional scars, and the relentless judgment of the public eye. And quietly, beneath the noise, the foundation of something more permanent began to take shape. As time went on, the relationship between Jasmine Pineda and Matt Brani's entered a quieter but far more decisive stage. The explosive arguments that once defined their public image began to fade, replaced by something less visible but more meaningful: intentional effort. This phase was not dramatic enough for reality television trailers, yet it was the most critical chapter in determining whether their love would truly last. One of the biggest changes came in how they handled conflict. Previously, disagreements escalated quickly, fueled by emotion, insecurity, and misunderstanding. Now, both began recognizing early warning signs. Jasmine learned when to pause instead of pushing harder for reassurance, while Matt learned that emotional presence mattered just as much as logical explanations. These small adjustments marked a profound shift in their dynamic. Public perception, however, lagged behind reality. Online discussions continued to frame their relationship as unstable or doomed. Past clips were replayed endlessly, freezing them in moments they had already outgrown. This disconnect between who they were becoming and how they were perceived created frustration, but it also strengthened their bond. For the first time, they were choosing each other without seeking validation from the outside world. During this period, Jasmine became more vocal about personal growth. She spoke openly about therapy, emotional awareness, and healing from past trauma. Rather than denying her intensity, she reframed it as passion that needed healthy outlets. This reframing changed how Matt responded to her emotions. Instead of feeling attacked, he began listening with empathy, understanding the deeper fears beneath her reactions. Matt, too, underwent visible transformation. He started expressing vulnerability in ways he hadn't before, admitting uncertainty and emotional fatigue instead of hiding behind composure. For Jasmine, this honesty was deeply reassuring. It signaled trust, the kind that goes beyond surface-level romance and into emotional partnership. Engagement rumors returned once again, but this time they felt different. Fans noticed subtle clues, more consistent communication, supportive comments, and a noticeable absence of public conflict. Instead of dramatic posts hinting at turmoil, there were quiet affirmations of mutual respect and shared goals. The narrative was shifting, even if slowly. Privately, discussions about marriage became more realistic and less idealized. They talked about expectations, finances, location, and lifestyle compatibility. These were not romantic conversations in the traditional sense, but they were deeply intimate. Talking about logistics required honesty about fears, limitations, and long-term vision. Distance continued to test them, but it also served as proof of commitment. Rather than using separation as a threat or emotional leverage, they treated it as a temporary challenge with a shared end goal. Plans were discussed thoughtfully rather than impulsively, reflecting a maturity that had been missing earlier in the relationship. Family opinions still mattered, but no longer dictated their choices. Both Jasmine and Matt learned to listen without absorbing every concern as a personal attack. This boundary setting was crucial. It allowed them to build a relationship defined by their values rather than external expectations. There were still moments of doubt. Growth does not erase fear. It teaches how to coexist with it. Jasmine occasionally questioned whether she was asking for too much. Matt sometimes wondered if he was capable of meeting emotional needs consistently. The difference now was that these doubts were shared openly rather than buried or weaponized during conflict. As trust stabilized, the idea of engagement transformed from rumor into possibility. Not because it was announced, but because it made sense. Marriage was no longer viewed as a solution to problems but as a commitment built on understanding. This shift alone marked a significant evolution from where they started. By the end of this phase, Jasmine and Matt were no longer defined by chaos. They were defined by choice, the choice to stay, to grow, and to build something healthier than what existed before. The noise of speculation began to fade into the background, replaced by a quiet confidence that didn't need constant explanation. Part 2 of their journey is ultimately about rebuilding, not the dramatic kind that captures headlines, but the slow, deliberate kind that lasts. It is about learning that love is not proven through intensity alone, but through consistency, accountability, and emotional courage. And as this chapter closed, one truth became increasingly clear: whatever came next would not be accidental. It would be intentional. By the time Jasmine Pineda and Matt Brani's reached the stage where wedding conversations felt natural rather than forced, their relationship had already undergone a transformation that few viewers fully understood. What once appeared chaotic and unstable had slowly evolved into something quieter, steadier, and far more intentional. Part 3 of their journey is not about dramatic confrontations or explosive arguments. It is about commitment, realism, and the courage to build a future beyond the cameras. The idea of marriage did not arrive suddenly. It emerged gradually, shaped by long conversations, shared vulnerabilities, and an honest assessment of what life together would actually look like. For Jasmine, marriage symbolized security, emotional safety, and the reassurance that she was truly chosen. For Matt, it represented responsibility, partnership, and the willingness to grow alongside someone rather than ahead of them. One of the most significant changes during this phase was how they spoke about the future. Early in their relationship, future plans were often emotional reactions, promises made in moments of fear or desperation. Now, discussions about marriage were grounded in practicality. They talked about where they would live, how they would manage finances, and what compromises each would need to make. These conversations were not glamorous, but they were essential. Wedding planning, even in its earliest conceptual stages, forced them to confront realities they could no longer avoid. Cultural expectations, family involvement, and public attention all played a role. Jasmine envisioned a wedding that reflected emotional depth and personal meaning, while Matt focused on stability and sustainability. Instead of clashing over these differences, they learned to integrate them, finding balance between emotion and logic. Public curiosity intensified once again. Fans analyzed every detail, searching for confirmation that wedding bells were truly ringing. But this time, Jasmine and Matt chose privacy over performance. They shared less, not because they were hiding something, but because they were protecting it. This boundary marked a clear departure from their earlier approach to love under public scrutiny. Life beyond 90-day Fiancé became a central topic of discussion. Both were acutely aware that reality television fame is temporary, while marriage is not. They talked openly about career goals, personal ambitions, and the kind of life they wanted when the cameras stopped rolling. This realism grounded their relationship in something far more enduring than popularity. Jasmine expressed a desire for emotional stability and personal growth, emphasizing the importance of maintaining her identity beyond being a reality TV personality. Matt supported this vision, encouraging independence rather than control. This mutual respect became one of the strongest pillars of their relationship moving forward. There were still fears, of course. Marriage does not erase insecurity, and commitment does not guarantee certainty. Jasmine worried about reverting to old emotional patterns under stress. Matt feared that the weight of responsibility might overwhelm him. Instead of avoiding these fears, they addressed them directly, acknowledging that growth is an ongoing process rather than a final destination. Family reactions during this stage were more measured than before. Initial skepticism softened as loved ones witnessed genuine change. While concerns did not disappear entirely, there was a growing acceptance that Jasmine and Matt were no longer the same people who first appeared on screen. Their relationship had matured, and with it, the trust of those closest to them. The concept of forever took on a new meaning. It was no longer an abstract promise or a dramatic declaration. It became a daily choice, choosing patience over reaction, understanding over assumption, and partnership over ego. This shift reflected the deepest lesson of their journey. Love is sustained not by intensity, but by intention. As wedding discussions progressed, the focus remained less on the event itself and more on the marriage that would follow. They understood that a ceremony lasts a day, but the work of partnership lasts a lifetime. This awareness distinguished their story from many reality TV romances that prioritize spectacle over substance. By this point, Jasmine and Matt were no longer defined by their past conflicts. Those moments became chapters rather than conclusions. Their story evolved into one of resilience, proof that growth is possible when both individuals are willing to take accountability and evolve together. Part 3 is ultimately about transition. Transition from public drama to private commitment. From reaction to reflection. From uncertainty to deliberate choice. Whether or not viewers witness every detail of their wedding, the journey toward it has already revealed something far more meaningful than a ring or a ceremony. It revealed two people who chose growth over comfort and love over fear.